The story of the woman at the well is one of my absolute favorite Bible stories. I love it because of its rawness and its realness and the relevance that it holds in each of our lives. The entire Well Woman movement is based on the woman at the well and her story. And so we don't know much about this woman other than what's shared in the story, and we don't know her name, which I think in itself is pretty profound. I think it's cool that the Bible doesn't name her because we're easily able to relate to her and to find ourselves in her seat and to find ourselves in her story. And so I really believe that had she had a name, we would just attach her to her sin and her mistakes, and we would just forget that very easily that could have been us. And very easily we could have had her story. Very easily we could be known by our mistakes and our failures and what looks like failure and mess ups. So my two favorite parts of the story is the woman being filled by God and the woman running off telling people about Jesus. So for the last year or so with this Well Woman organization, I really felt like I have been the woman sitting at the well, talking to Jesus, really getting filled, really getting everything that he needs me to get so that I can come back and share with you guys. And I've been honestly in this place of the end of the story where the Samaritan woman runs off and tells people about Jesus. That's where I've been for the past year or so, where I have been doing events and organizational stuff and preaching and teaching and telling women all about Jesus and telling them about how he filled me and how we interacted with each other and how you can get the same thing. The thing about life though is that sometimes we have circumstances and we have situations that bring us back to the well. So for the past year, where I have been the woman who was running off and telling people about Jesus and sharing the good news of him, now I found myself in a season where I'm back at the seat, where I'm back at the well being filled by him, where I'm back answering some tough questions, where I'm back just really having tough conversation with him, but necessary conversation. And there's nothing wrong with being back in this season or in this place. It's just that sometimes it happens in very unexpected ways. On February 22nd, I got to come back to the well and be filled. Because on February 22nd, I found out that I was 9 weeks pregnant. And with the support of my family and my friends and everyone just reminding me that life wasn't over, that everything that God has for me wasn't over, I loved their support and I needed their support, and I got it just in crazy, crazy ways. Nothing but love and support. However, being back in that place again, being back being filled again, it was really vulnerable for me. It was really hard for me. I felt, when I found out I was pregnant in February, I felt like I had failed. I felt like I was letting everyone down. I felt that I wasn't who I thought I was. I beat myself up. I was disappointed in myself for a minute. And it took me a while to wrap my head around what I had done. It took me a while to wrap my head around what I had allowed to happen. And now I'm here. When I say that God filled me again, throughout the entire process, he has shown me nothing but grace. He has shown me nothing but mercy. Literally the day after I found out I was pregnant, the day after, which was February the 23rd, I woke up and I was in so much, like, it was almost borderline depression, like that quick. I was so hard on myself. And that next morning I woke up and literally God told me to read the scripture that says, nothing will separate me from the love of Christ. And he just like painted that scripture over my heart. And I got up, I went to church, and literally that day, every single song we sung everything that the pastor referenced, it was all about the love of God. And he has been nothing but gracious to me. He has been nothing but loving and kind to me. He has done nothing but reminded me of his goodness and reminded me of the love that he has for me in such an overwhelming way. Like, God showed up in a crazy way, and he's met me in my mess. Like, he's met me right where I am. And I'm so glad that he did. I'm so glad, because without his love, without him reminding me of who I am in him and what I have to offer the world, I could not have gotten through this season. Another interesting part in the Samaritan woman's story is when she went to the well. So we know that Jesus met her at the well, but she went at noon. And the reason why she went at noon was because she wanted to avoid the people in the town who knew all of her business, who knew how many times she'd been married, who knew her past, who knew her mistakes. And so typically women would go to draw water at the well in the morning before the sun came up, because it wasn't as hot. And so everybody knows that noon is the hottest point of the day, right? And so this woman would go to draw water from the well at noon just to avoid people, just to avoid their opinions, just to avoid the conversation and the side stares. And that's really, it's a really pivotal point that sometimes we look over in the story. So I am pregnant, and I feel like the woman at the well. I feel like literally I am living her story. I feel like I am living out the brand of WellWoman, because now I have a choice. Either I could go to the well at high noon where everyone can see me, and I could go and I could open myself up to opinion and people's side stares and their public, just display of whatever they feel about my situation and about me. I could take that chance and I could go to the well at high noon to get away from all of that. Or I could just come back when things were neat and pretty. And so I realized that in this story I had two choices. Like I said, either I could go to the well at high noon to avoid everyone, or I could go when everybody else is there and not care what people think. And so I chose the latter. I chose to take you guys on the journey. I know I had two choices. Either I could come back when things were tidy and pretty and I had figured everything out, or I could take you guys on the journey of having this baby and figuring out my faith through this process and just letting God be God through this process. So I know that my decision to open myself up and share my story and share my journey, I know that it'll open me up to public opinion and people's words and everything, and so it's a risk that I'm willing to take. It's a gamble that I'm willing to take, because I really, really believe that if one woman is saved by my story, if one woman is transformed and comes to know Jesus, because she now knows that she does not have to be perfect in order to serve him, that she does not have to be perfect to be a recipient of his love, that she doesn't have to be perfect to be a recipient of his favor. Like, if one woman knows this, then the gamble was worth it. If one woman knows this, then me telling my story and me taking people along on my journey and not waiting until things were tidy and pretty and cleaned up is worth it to me. I am excited about my baby. When I say I walked through the season of shame and guilt, and I walked through the depressed part, and I walked through all of that, and I decided that that wasn't going to be my story. I decided that I did not want to carry that. I did not want to carry my baby and carry that at the same time. So I shed it, because I know that that's not of God, and I know that that is not something that God has put on me. I do know that only God brings life, and I am so excited about this life that I am carrying. We are excited. My family is excited. We are so ready to meet this baby in October, and so we just hope that you would join us for the journey. And like I said, my prayer is that God will use this too. From the very beginning, the onset of this thing, I was like, God, I don't know what just happened, but use this too. And so I just believe that God is going to use this. I believe that women are going to be completely empowered. And I just hope that this chapter just lets you know that you don't have to be perfect. Perfection is not a prerequisite to be a well woman. You just have to know where your help comes from, and you have to be willing to be filled again and again and again. And so we are excited, and we cannot wait to meet this baby. I am so not big on like giving the enemy more credit than what he wants, or than what he deserves, because he deserves none. But he is behind things sometimes, and so I'm not into giving him his props or anything like that. But what I will say is sometimes things happen, and I think that automatically he thinks that we've kind of done things to ourselves. So sometimes I feel like he kind of chills, like he's like, you know what, this situation, she gonna hang herself, like it's okay, I don't even have to do any work because he, you know, she's already messed up, right? And so I really felt like at the beginning of this, that was my thought process. It's like, I messed up, it's over. But if this video does nothing else, I pray that it just serves notice to the enemy that we are not stopping. That if he was mad before at what WellWoman was producing, and if he was mad before about the women that were impacted and the women that were touched, he's gonna be so mad moving forward. Like, he has seen absolutely nothing yet. The best is still yet to come, and we're just gonna welcome hopefully another WellWoman baby girl into the tribe. So I'm excited, and I can't wait to share this journey with you.
I'm her son, and she's having a baby. Sorry, Mama, I just had to tell everybody.